In this shopping list app, I can assign a section to each item, and then I can complete my round through the supermarket section by section. But when client-side JavaScript fails to load, users need to be able to apply the selection, and that is why we need a dedicated submit button. But we can use JavaScript to make it more convenient, because you don't have to click that button every time. It could feel really tedious if you use it more often. Instead, we will submit the form instantly whenever the section selection changes. But what do we do with that button? I quickly dismissed the idea to hide it from the users, because on a fast connection, it would still flash for milliseconds before it gets hidden by JavaScript. And on a slow connection, it would maybe even sit there for 2 or 3 seconds until it suddenly disappears. And users shouldn't have to figure out the mystery of the button. Let's keep our UI consistent instead. But I'd sure like to provide some visual feedback that that button has effectively been clicked and tell the user, you don't have to go grab your mouse. We have taken care of this for you. But first things first, submit the form automatically. We could use the lowercase f form HTML element with some vanilla JavaScript. We could use an event listener to call the submit method of that form element, but that would make a GET request, which would result in a full page reload, and any visual feedback we'd set on the button would immediately be reset. And that is why we use the uppercase F form React component by Remix, because it encapsulates the native form element behavior but also enriches it when client-side JavaScript is available. The request will be made in the background and we will have full control over the UI. We can use the useSubmit hook by Remix. We prepare it and then call the function and pass the event target. In this case, it's the form element. Whenever any input changes, we also get a change event on the enclosing form element. And it works. Now, to provide visual feedback on the button, we could use Remix's useTransition hook. Whenever a request is made in the background, useTransition gives us insight into the current state. But I think this won't work because we have other forms on the page. When we put an item in the shopping cart, we enter a transition and that button up here would change, and that's not what we want. Maybe there's a way to do this in Remix, but I don't know yet. So in this case, I think some vanilla JavaScript will do. I'll first move the form submission into a function and change the caption of the button. I'll revert it after a moment. Not too quick and flashy, but also won't wait for a tiring long time. I also defined some disabled styles down here with Tailwind, and I'll disable and enable the button. And it works. I'll wrap up the video here, but we're not done yet. We revert the button UI after a fixed period of time, but what if the request takes longer than that? I'll have to catch up with the Remix docs to see if the useTransition hook can actually distinguish between different requests. And how I've experienced Remix so far, I'm pretty sure there's a straightforward solution. I really don't want to reinvent the wheel here. These are the things I'd like the framework to take care of.